Hi, this is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. I'm going to show you how to transform modern-day photos into the look of antique daguerreotypes from the 19th century. Before we dive in, let me briefly explain what daguerreotypes are and why they look the way they do. A daguerreotype was the very first photographic process that was widely used in the 1840s and 1850s. The image is scratched easily because it used highly polished mirror-like silver plates, making the surfaces extremely delicate and susceptible to anything that touched it, even dust and fingerprints. I provided two textures that we'll use for this project: this old scuffed and stained film texture and a black and white image of scratches. Their links are in my video's description or project files. Open a high-resolution photo that you'd like to use for this project. I downloaded this one from Shutterstock. The first step is to convert our image into a smart object so we can modify it non-destructively, as well as replace it with a different photo without having to redo most of the effects. To do this, click the icon at the upper right of the Layers panel and click Convert to Smart Object. Next, we'll colorize the photo. Press Ctrl or Command U to open the Hue Saturation window. Check Colorize. Set the hue to 38, the saturation to 10, and the lightness to 11. Go to Image, Adjustments, and Shadows Highlights. By default, the shadow amount is set to 35%, but let's lower it to 10% to subtly enhance shadow details. If we need more detail later, we can always increase this value. Remember, because we converted our photo into a smart object, all filters applied to it will be smart filters, meaning they can be adjusted anytime. Next, let's sharpen the image. There are many ways to do this. However, for this example, we'll use the high pass filter. Make a copy of the layer by pressing Ctrl or Command J. Go to Filter, Other, and High Pass. The High Pass filter converts the image to grayscale, which highlights the edges against a neutral gray background. It essentially enhances contrast along the edges. I'll set the radius to 1.5 pixels. However, you may need to adjust the amount based on your photo's size and resolution. Choose a radius that gives a similar result as mine. Open the Blend Mode drop-down and choose any of these to see which one you prefer. Each mode will produce varying degrees of sharpness and tonal contrast. I'll select Hard Light. As I toggle between the before and after views, we can see the difference. To save some space in the Layers panel, let's collapse the smart filters of both layers. Open the old film texture I provided. Since my photo is in a landscape mode, I'll rotate the texture 90 degrees by going to Image, Image Rotation, and 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise. We'll place it into our photo document by pressing V to open our Move tool and dragging it onto the tab of our photo. Without releasing our mouse or pen, press and hold the Shift key as we drag it down and release. Holding Shift kept the texture perfectly centered over our photo. To adjust its size and shape, press Ctrl or Command T to open the Transform tool. We can adjust the top and bottom at the same time by placing our cursor over the top or bottom middle anchor point of the transform's bounding box and press and hold Alt or Option plus Shift as we drag it down or up. Similarly, both sides can be adjusted together. If you want to adjust one side independently, hold Shift while dragging that side in or out. Then press Enter or Return. Change the blend mode to Soft Light. If you want to flip the texture, go to Edit, Transform, and click Flip Horizontal or Flip Vertical or Rotate 180 degrees. If we want to undo the last step, press Ctrl or Command Z. Open the Scratches texture, drag it up onto the tab of the photo, and drag it down and release. Open the Transform tool to resize it. Change its blend mode to Screen. This is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. Thanks for watching.